Yes, friends, welcome back. The next topic is express and implied warranties. We have seen expressed and implied uh, conditions. Now we will be seeing express and implied warranties. What do you mean by an express warranty? As we have already discussed, like express conditions, express warranties are those warranties which are exclusively mentioned in the contract by writing, expressly written. So whenever there is an expressly written warranties, so be it, and follow the contract what as per what the document is. Then what is implied warranties? Again, what we have understood in implied conditions, same way implied warranties are also presumed by law that it will be part of the contract. What does it mean? What is an implied warranty? Law implies such warranties into the contract of sale. That is, it is a stipulation, no doubt it is collateral, no doubt it is secondary, it is a stipulation which has not been included in the contract of sale by express words. That means if certain express words are not being written in the contract, implied warranties which is mentioned below will be assumed by the law that it will be part of the contract. I hope you got the point. So if it is expressly not written also, the law presumes that these are part of the contract. Please note the important part later on here. It implies unless expressly excluded in the contract. Now this is the twist. What if a scenario is there wherein in the written contract itself they have expressly written that these implied warranties do not apply? That's an interesting scenario. When such is the case, these implied warranties, what we are going to discuss now, cannot apply even because it is already mentioned in the contract that these implied warranties shall not be applicable. That's the meaning of it implies, or rather it applies. These implied warranties applies unless expressly excluded in the contract. If it is written expressly that so and so implied warranties do not apply, then all these points what we are going to discuss will not apply. Having said that, if nothing is stated in the contract about implied warranties, then all these implied warranties will definitely apply while undergoing or execution of the contract in the eyes of law. That is, the law implies these implied warranties. Let's see one by one what are the implied warranties. First one, undisturbed possession. When there is a contract of sale of goods, when Mr. A sells goods to Mr. B, B being the buyer, B should basically have an undisturbed possession of the goods. He should enjoy the possession of the goods. By chance that possession is disturbed by someone, then the contract, or rather implied warranties, creeps in. What is that? Buyer shall have and enjoy possession of the goods. If later the possession is disturbed, only suit for damages is possible. Contract cannot be repudiated or cancelled. What do I mean by this? Let's give an example. Let's say Mr. A sells his bike to Mr. B for a particular price. B takes the possession. B is enjoying the possession. Now Mr. A's younger brother comes and says, this is my elder brother's bike, I need to drive it, I need to take it for a ride and give me. Every day he's asking this. In such a scenario, Mr. B, who is the buyer, is not able to enjoy that particular bike's possession. Therefore, it is only creating a little bit of frustration in B's mind, wherein based on this, he cannot cancel the contract. He can at the best claim for damages against Mr. A. It's only disturbing the possession, but basically implied warranty says possession should be enjoyed by the buyer. If there is a slight disturbance, only suit for damages can prevail, not contract. That means the contract cannot be cancelled. Moving further, non-existence of encumbrances is second implied warranty. What is an encumbrance? Encumbrance means free from any charge in favor of a third party. That means charge means a right. We have already discussed this several times in our previous sessions, that is a special property, general property and special property. I hope you are recalling it. So encumbrance means free from any charge. There should not be any charge against that particular goods when there is a contract of sale of goods. If by chance there was an encumbrance, that is, if such encumbrance were not declared or not known to the buyer before or at the time of contract of sale, then only a suit for damages is possible. You cannot cancel the contract. That means whenever the buyer has taken delivery and possession of the goods and ownership is getting transferred prior to the contract or at the time of the contract, if the buyer is not aware of encumbrance, that is any charge against that particular goods, then only a suit for damages is possible. You cannot cancel the contract. Let me give you an example. Let's say a car was given as a security to Mr. A, or Mr. B had given his car as a security to Mr. A and taken some money against it. B used to drive the car by himself. Only the, let's say, a document was given, RC copy, a registration certificate copy was given to Mr. A as a security. Eventually what happened, Mr. B sold his car to Mr. C. Now C is enjoying the car. He was not aware that this car was given as a security to A, that is the RC copy was given as a security to A. Now once A comes and asks, mind you, A is not the owner of the car. B still continues to be the owner of the car. B can sell the car, but subject to clearing the loan, whatever amount he has taken. So now what happens is, if by chance when C was enjoying the car, A comes and says, this car was given as a security to me, Mr. B had taken money against this car, at the best what C can do is file for damages only and ask B to settle the money to A. He cannot cancel the contract just because there was a encumbrance over it. I hope you are understanding it. Eventually how it will settle down possibly is B will settle the money with A, or A will file a case against B to recover his money, and C's titles of the goods is intact. The frustration that was created by A, who was the money lender, will be solved between A and B in the court of law. So where is the question of cancelling the contract here? Therefore the law says you cannot repudiate the contract. At the best, due to for this frustration created by A and B on C, C can file a case on B for all this and claim only damages. I hope you got the example right. Then the third implied warranty is quality and fitness by usage of trade, which we have already covered. Remember those points, remember the topic which I explained you called KVA tempter. The same points will come here as well. The last one is disclosure of dangerous nature of goods. It's an implied warranty, mind you. What is it all about? Let's see. If the goods are dangerous or of dangerous nature and the buyer is ignorant about the danger, let's say there is toilet cleaning acids. The buyer unknowingly wants to buy an acid, and for the first time he wants to clean the toilet. He goes and buys the acid bottle. It becomes the responsibility of the seller to inform the buyer or warn the buyer as to the possible and probable danger that can originate out of such a product. Therefore, see this, if the goods are of dangerous nature and the buyer is ignorant of the danger, then the seller must warn the buyer of the probable danger. If the seller has not warned, then there is a breach of warranty and the seller will be liable for damages. Ideally, the situation would be like this. Let's say a buyer goes to buy the acid, and the seller, who is the seller of the acid, the seller is under an obligation to ask the buyer that whether he knows for what purpose this acid is bought, and what is the dangerous substance included in that acid, and what is the possible dangerous circumstances that can originate out of this acid. The seller is under the obligation to ask the buyer. If the buyer says no, he is not aware of it, it is again an obligation on the seller to inform the buyer that this particular substance which is going to be used by the buyer has these and these possible dangers which can originate about by using the product. Once that is done, seller escapes all liability. By chance, the seller has not explained this or not warned this, and the buyer has used the product, and some dangerous eventuality happens, then definitely seller will be liable for damages because he's not explained the dangerous component or dangerous consequences about the particular product. So these were all about implied warranties, my dear friends. So keep this in mind. Conditions and warranties chapter are pretty important. I am left with one more topic called KVA temperature, which is a lengthy topic. I will cover it up in the next session. As of now, conditions and warranties are target exam questions. Please do not miss out on this. Thank you.